Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth.
Oh, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Very quickly. There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
The Bureau has known since early 2019 that this device and the data on it were authentic. And it was the FBI itself that was putting pressure on the social media companies to suppress the story about Hunter's laptop as if it was Russian disinformation. There was no reason to believe that the data on that laptop was Russian disinformation. That was always a fraud. But the more we find out about it, the more we see what a willful fraud it was.
Right. Weeks before the 2020 election. The report cites former CIA acting director Michael Morell, among others, working with the CIA. Morell previously told Congress that he helped organize that letter after then Biden senior campaign official, now Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, reached out to him days after the New York Post broke the Hunter Biden laptop story. The CIA says both Morell and former CIA Inspector General David Buckley had contracts with the agency on the day the letter was released, October 19th, 2020. The CIA also adds both Morell and Buckley held agency clearance at that time. The New York Post reports Morell denies that he was a contractor with the CIA at that time, saying he cannot explain why the agency would have him listed as a contractor when he claims he wasn't. At the same time, John Ratcliffe was the most senior sitting intelligence official. He was director of national intelligence at the time. They did not ask him to sign the letter, presumably because he said the complete opposite, telling me directly before the election that the laptop was in fact real and in fact was not Russian disinformation at all. Watch.
Let me be clear. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that. And we have shared no intelligence with Chairman Schiff or any other member of Congress that Hunter Biden's laptop is part of some Russian disinformation campaign. It's simply not true.
Joining me now with reaction is the man himself, former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, along with former House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Devin Nunes. Gentlemen, it's great to have you both here this weekend. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Maria.
Great to be with you.
John, I want to kick things off with you. Give us your take on this Intelligence Community 51 report, how the CIA contractors colluded with the Biden campaign to mislead American voters right before the 2020 election. This, of course, released this week by Congress. And Jim Jordan.
Yeah. Well, as you said, Maria, we all knew that Hunter Biden's laptop was real. In fact, Joe Biden's own Department of Justice had to admit it into evidence reluctantly. We also knew before that these 51 so-called former intelligence officials engaged in a scheme to, as you said, mislead the American people just 2 weeks before the presidential election. What's new about this reporting out of the House is, as you correctly point out, is this notion that some of these supposedly former intelligence officials were not former at all and were under contract and had relationships with the FBI and with the CIA. And the reason that's significant, Maria, is the CIA is supposed to be apolitical and is charged by law under the Hatch Act and other restrictions from engaging in political activity. What made this letter okay from one perspective early on was all of the assertions that these were former officials acting in their private capacity. Now the CIA has admitted, and there's testimony here, that at least some of these individuals were under contract with the CIA, which means Hatch Act violations and perhaps more serious criminal violations under Title 18 for election interference.
Now to the president's son, the first witness taking the stand in Hunter Biden's federal gun trial. The prosecution entering Hunter Biden's laptop as evidence.
CBS News has obtained its data not through a third party or political operative, but directly from the source who told us they provided it to the FBI under subpoena. And we commissioned an independent forensic review to determine its authenticity. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Harrods joins us now with what we found. Catherine, I'm very interested. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony. These House Republican investigations are coming, and that could be a challenge for the White House as we head into 2023 and 2024. The laptop data we had analyzed showed no evidence it was faked or tampered with.
Was that your laptop?
For real, I don't know.
I know, but you know that this is.
I really don't know.
Okay.
The answer is.
You don't know, yes or no, if the laptop
I don't have
was
any
yours.
idea. I have no idea.
So could have been yours.
Of course, certainly. There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me. There could be that I was hacked. It could be that it was Russian intelligence. It could be that it was stolen from me.
Is that laptop yours?
You don't need the laptop. You got a book. You get the book. It's all in the book. And I don't know. I truly.
You don't know?
The serious answer is that I truly do not know the answer to that.
Did you leave a laptop with a repairman in Wilmington?
Not that you remember. No. But whether or not somebody has my laptop, whether or not I was hacked, whether or not there exists a laptop at all, I truly don't know.
Are you missing a laptop?
Not that I know of, but you read the book and you'll realize that I wasn't keeping tabs on possessions very well for about a 4-year period of time.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China. I know how to tell the truth.
The analysis found millions of dollars flowing to Hunter Biden and his company. A big chunk of it came from Chinese partners, including a businessman now accused of fraud. The feds are currently investigating Hunter Biden's taxes.
I know how to tell the truth.
Records show Hunter Biden's company received nearly $5 million in consulting contracts from that joint venture funded by a Chinese energy company. A snapshot of Hunter Biden's spending shows that for about 5 months in late 2017 and early 2018, he spent more than $200,000 a month on things like luxury hotel rooms, cash withdrawals, dental work, and payments on a Porsche, according to documents on the hard drive.
To you. But could I just one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. $183,000, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly, and then I need to get
dishonest.
to a question to you. Very
No
quickly,
basis for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong.
All right, welcome back. House Republicans once again taking aim at Hunter Biden and his past business dealings. A summary of new records released by the House Oversight Committee today says, quote, committee staff is releasing payments from Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan that occurred during Joe Biden's vice presidency. Goes on to say, the committee has now identified over $20 million from foreign sources to Hunter and his business associates. One item that was highlighted, for example, in 2014, an oligarch from Kazakhstan wired $142,000 to the business operated by Hunter Biden and his partner. The next day, the Republican records show a payment was made by Hunter Biden's company for a sports car for him in the exact same amount. There is new reaction from Joe Biden on this. Chris, I'll get your response in a second, but when you see the House Oversight Committee putting out more evidence like this, what do you make of it?
Well, it's not new, it's just specific, right? Yeah. These are lurid details about a lurid life. And the thing that strikes me is when you hear stuff like that Hunter Biden didn't end up dead because he was basically swindling dirtbags internationally, right? He was finding the worst of the worst around the world, and he was saying, I have this special influence.
President Biden, at the second presidential debate in October of 2020, said there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that this is a Russian plan. They're talking about the laptop. And then yesterday, the prosecution of Hunter Biden enters into evidence the laptop, which was not from the Russians, Andy.
Yeah, Dana, it's astonishing because the thing that caught my eye is that the Bureau has known since early 2019 that this device was, and the data on it were authentic. And it was the FBI itself that was putting pressure on the social media companies to suppress the story about Hunter's laptop as if it was Russian disinformation. There was no reason to believe that the data on that laptop was Russian disinformation. That was always a fraud. But the more we find out about it, the more we see what a willful fraud it was.
Right.
But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing.